After his marriage with Liu Ruyan started falling apart, our guy completely stopped doing chores.
No more waking up at 5 a.m. to cook healthy breakfast for the kids?
He stopped waiting up past midnight just to cook hangover soup for his ungrateful wife.
Every single chore he used to obsess over was dumped straight onto the maids. He thought this misery would last forever. But then, boom!
Right after waking up in his past, he immediately drafts up some divorce papers.
He slides the papers straight to her side piece, Ji Boda, calmly demanding a divorce.
You can have Liu Ruyan and the kids.
Ji Boda stares at him in pure shock, completely unable to believe it.
No way the guy who held the main husband spot for 6 years is just giving up.
Our main character just shrugs, saying that since everyone clearly prefers him anyway,
he'll gladly step aside. All Ji Boda needs to do is get her signature. Once the divorce cooling off period officially ends, he is gone. No repeating past mistakes this time. He just wants to go back to being the ignored, low-profile Mr. Long.
Ji Boda unconsciously taps his cup, his brow heavily furrowed as he mutters, "Long Aotian."
What game are you playing? He demands, his face practically twitching with sheer confusion.
He calmly repeats, "No games, just done."
Ji Boda scoffs, asking if he even knows how many men want his elite husband spot. Looking him dead in the eye, he says, that is why. Jiang Boda's smug composure finally cracks as he stares down at those divorce papers for a long minute. Finally, he snatches them up, muttering that since he is being so incredibly generous, he won't be polite, but warns him to keep one crucial thing in mind. What he claims, he never gives back. Our main character just smiles, telling him not to worry. He will never regret this. He already lived through that exact nightmare once. Having tasted the bitterness of a lonely life, he watches Ji Boda walk over to another table. The rival elegantly pulls out his phone, tapping the screen with a smug grin. As soon as the call connects, his voice drops into this sickeningly sweet, gentle tone.
He tells her he's at Lanshan Cafe, asking if she can pick him up. Sitting right there, our main character can only watch with a bitter, hollow smile.
Back then, if he tried calling his wife 10 times in a row, 9 of those times her assistant picked up. But now, in less than 20 minutes, this woman who was always too busy in meetings literally spawns at the front door. Looking through the glass, he watches Liu Ruyan confidently stride right inside. Her expensive black designer suit skirt showing off her insanely long, slender legs. Their 6-year-old son, Long Yu, and 4-year-old daughter, Long Yu-e, immediately rush over to hug the rival. Sweetly calling him Uncle Boda, his little daughter happily nuzzles her face right into Ji Boda's chest. Liu Ruyan sets down a cake box, gently sliding it over with her slender hands, saying it is his favorite chocolate flavor, custom made by the chef with low sugar. Ji Boda's eyes light up, praising her for always remembering his preferences. Watching from the corner, our main character can only squeeze his fists tight. 6 years of marriage, and she did not have a clue what his favorite flavor was. In his past life, when he asked for green bean cake, she just had an assistant buy random junk. Bringing him mango, the one fruit he is highly allergic to. What a joke. Meanwhile, she asks the rival if he prefers French or Chinese food tonight. Ji Boda just smirks, slowly pulling out those signed divorce papers from his bag. Ji Boda slides a document over, flipping directly to the signature page. He wants to buy a villa, but lacks the liquid cash. Before he can even finish, Liu Ruyan grabs the pen and signs.
She tells him not to worry, as little Long Yu chimes in.
The daughter looks up, begging her mother to buy one nearby.
She says they want to move in with Uncle Boda.
They hate living with their dad, making Liu Ruyan frown slightly. But seeing the kid's eager eyes, she instantly softens her stance.
She agrees, but Ji Boda quickly tells her not to.
He promises to keep 3 rooms ready for her and the kids. They can visit any time, and the kids begin celebrating wildly. The son hugs Boda, kissing his cheek. Uncle Boda is literally 1,000 times better than Dad. RMC is completely suffocating inside. He sees her warm smile, a gentleness he never received. He walks out. Suddenly, past life memories flood back. Talk about a plot twist.
In that past timeline, they had an arranged business marriage.
62 years of absolute misery. Because her heart always belonged to her first love, Boda. She drank heavily when Boda laughed. Too proud to beg, she married our MC for status.
To him, she was the ultimate cold beauty.
Every elite playboy in high society was desperately chasing her.
He was absolutely thrilled. But no matter how much love he gave, she remained cold. That painful neglect lasted until Boda came back. She never divorced him but kept her eyes on Boda.
Even their own kids adored Boda instead.
Completely abandoned, the MC eventually got severe Alzheimer's.
Liu Ruyan dumped him in an empty old house alone. On his birthday, he called them with trembling hands.
They were vacationing with Boda in the Maldives. Forgotten and alone, he accidentally left the stove burning.
Flames rising, he remembered her cold eyes. He died in pure agony.
His only wish was to never waste his life on her again.
Back to the present, he returns to the villa at night.
Instead of resting, he immediately starts packing up everything. Her elegant dresses, the kids' toys, and the family photos. He throws it all into cardboard boxes just as her voice cuts in. He turns around and finds her standing right behind him.
She holds the kid's hands, her brow furrowed in annoyance.
The son runs over, demanding why he is throwing their stuff. Seeing his toy bear packed away, the kid snaps. Long Yu glares right back, crying that they only played with Uncle Boda for a bit.
Are you seriously this petty? Liu Ruyan asks him, her coldness off the charts.
Her gaze is ice cold. The kids just love being around Boda, she says.
Why throw a fit over nothing? But Aotian calmly says he is not angry.
Liar! His daughter, Long Yu, screams at him right away.
You are just jealous of Uncle Boda. That is why you threw my bear.
You are a bad dad. When I grow up, I am moving in with him.
Long Yu grabs his sister, spitting that they will never come see him again.
Honestly, this wife is terrible. Liu Ruyan does not even stop them, just frowning slightly. Her deep eyes sweep over him with a chilling indifference.
She looks at him like a dramatic stranger. Enough, she sighs, lips parting. Her crisp voice carries her usual arrogance as her slender fingers move. She casually adjusts her dress, mentioning she has an important board meeting.
Throw out whatever you want, she warns, just do not make a scene. The second she leaves, Aotian's eyes silently turn red.
His heart is completely shattered, every breath feeling like pure agony.
But then he wipes his tears, looks at the mess, and suddenly smiles. Do not worry, he will not bother her. Not ever again. After signing the divorce papers, he completely stops taking care of the house. No more waking up at 5 a.m. to make nutritious breakfast for the kids. No more waiting up late for Liu Ruyan to cook her hangover soup. All those endless chores he used to handle left entirely to the maids. Nobody notices at first, until Long Yu gets scolded for being late to school. Long Yu loses her homework and Liu Ruyan's pocket watch stops running. The maids are in total panic, unable to match his perfect standards. Dirty dishes pile up in the kitchen and toys litter the living room.
Ironed dresses are full of wrinkles. This once perfect home is now a disaster.
It is a total mess. That is when Liu Ruyan pushes open his bedroom door. Aotian is just leaning by the window, reading a book in the sunlight. Light filters through the curtains. How long are you going to act out? She demands.
She stands at the doorway, her voice low and demanding. He shuts his book, looks up, and calmly tells her he is not acting out.
Then why are you ignoring the household chores? She asks, stepping closer. Her cedar scent fills the air. Are you still mad about last time? She asks. He puts the book aside and softly replies that he is not angry. I just do not want to manage it anymore. Liu Ruyan narrows her eyes. She taps her long fingers on the desk. Your reason? I am tired, he says.
He calmly points out that they have maids, so he does not need to.
He remembers his past life, waking up before dawn every single day.
Making Liu Ruyan's coffee exactly 85 degrees, and her sandwiches perfectly crispy.
Hand-washing the kids' clothes and even ironing their tiny socks. And for what? Just to see her give all her warmth to Ji Boda? To watch his kids adore that uncle while he died alone on his 62nd birthday? Long Aotian. Her voice turns freezing cold. Just admit you are throwing a fit.
Stop acting like a 3-year-old child. But Aotian only smirks at her.
He is not throwing a tantrum, he just wants to rest.
Before he can finish, the bedroom door gets slammed open. Long Yu and Long Yue barge in, screaming that their dad is lazy.
Long Yu yells that they want Uncle Boda to take care of him.
Long Yu chimes in, saying Uncle Boda is much more patient. He is hardworking and literally 10,000 times better than you. Liu Ruyan stares at him, waiting for him to break and apologize. But he just takes a deep breath and says, if you think he is so great,
then go ahead and bring him over, he does not mind.
The air instantly freezes as Liu Ruyan's face completely drops. She asks if he is sure. Yes, he is absolutely sure. Long Yu drags her mother by the sleeve, eager to leave.
She demands that Uncle Boda come over right now.
With Uncle Boda around, they will never need him again. Long Yue makes a face, telling him to get lost.
Liu Ruyan gives him one last look, but his silence irritates her.
She storms out with the kids, leaving him alone in the room. Hearing the car engine fade away, he slowly closes his eyes. Soon, he will give them exactly what they want, to disappear forever. He is leaving on the day Ji Boda moves in. The man immediately orders the maids to redecorate the living room. Complaining the leather sofa is too dull, Ji Boda brushes his fingers over it. He turns to Liu Ruyan with a smile, asking for an off-white one instead. Without hesitation, she tells the butler to do whatever Ji Boda says. Standing at the stairs, he watches the workers haul out his old sofa. The couch he carefully picked out is replaced while the kids follow Boda around. They follow him like puppies, excitedly pointing at the custom pillows.
They demand to toss them because the ones Dad bought are ugly.
Boda pats their heads and agrees, making the husband's fists tighten. But he lets go. Those pillows were handmade by him when she was pregnant. He spent nights stitching them with hypoallergenic cotton for his sensitive kids. All because they used to break out so easily back then. And now, those precious memories are tossed directly into the trash. Over the next few days, his own home becomes completely unrecognizable.
At dinner, Ji Boda sits in the husband's spot at the table.
He plays the perfect father while she pours him a fresh cup of coffee.
She slides it over with a tenderness the husband has never once received.
At night, the four of them crowd onto the couch watching movies. Long Yue curls up in Boda's arms, while Long Yu leans on her mother. They laugh endlessly, not even glancing at him as he walks past. He is a complete ghost in his own house. How pathetic. They used to have incredibly strict standards. But now, all of those high-class rules have vanished.
Boda casually tosses his $10 million Patek Philippe watch onto the table.
He leaves it face down, completely careless while playing with the kids.
The kids happily wear uniforms that Ji Boda just lazily threw in the wash.
They go to school with dirty collars while watching Ji Boda dump takeout onto plates. He literally claims he cooked it himself and nobody even calls him out.
But the wildest part is how they treat Ji Boda.
This random, unrelated uncle gets treated way better than Aotian, their actual father. Liu Ruyan quickly stops Ji Boda from cleaning, telling him to leave the chores. She gently grabs his wrist and says his hands are meant for playing piano. Rong Yu eagerly rushes over to carry Ji Boda's expensive limited edition bag. Honestly, Aotian has never seen his own son look that desperate to please anyone. Even the butler brings Ji Boda handmade slippers and tells him to just rest. Talk about a slap in the face. Aotian spent 6 whole years as a house husband. And they just ignored him, but the second Ji Boda arrives,
He gets treated like a king, and the servants are already whispering about it.
they notice the wife treats Ji Boda way better than her actual husband.
With the kids adoring him too, they think the house is getting a new master.
At this point, Aotian's heart is completely dead, so he just stops caring. He quietly packs his bags until a sudden emergency ruins everything one afternoon. His phone buzzes like crazy with news that his kids had a severe allergic reaction. They were rushed to the hospital, and Aotian runs there as fast as possible. The kids are already in the emergency room, and Liu Ruyan is waiting outside. Her coat is draped over her arm, her eyes cold with absolute fury. She calls his name in a low voice, barely holding back her rage.
She demands to know what he is doing, leaving Aotian completely stunned.
Liu Ruyan steps closer, demanding if he forgot their deadly mango allergy. Her powerful presence looms over him as she asks why they drank mango juice. Aotian looks straight at her and insists he never buys mangoes for the house. Ever since their very first reaction years ago, he has been incredibly cautious.
He repeatedly warned everyone in the household to keep mangoes far away.
He even checks their school menus. There is no way he made this mistake.
Liu Ruyan sneers, asking if she should blame the maids or the kids themselves. Just as he tries to explain, the nurse suddenly opens the door. She says the kids are awake, and they rush inside.
Rong Yu and Rong Yue lie pale in bed, their eyes shifting nervously.
Liu Ruyan immediately demands to know what exactly happened.
The kids trade a quick look, and trust me, this next move is pure evil.
They point directly at Aotian, claiming he bought pastries loaded with mangoes. Aotian completely freezes, staring at his own children in absolute disbelief. He asks what they mean, but Rong Yu cries out that it was him.
She tearfully claims he knew about the allergy but gave them the food anyway.
Rong Yu nods along, calling their own dad a truly horrible person. Clutching the door frame until his knuckles turn white, Akashian looks at his kids.
He warns them to stop lying and tell their mother the absolute truth right now.
But Liu Ruyan snaps, grabbing Aotian by the wrist and telling him to shut up.
She screams at him, asking if this is his idea of being a father.
She accuses him of forcing them to lie, while his voice trembles in denial. Liu Ruyan sneers, asking if he's seriously claiming the kids set him up. Like, are you for real?
She barks that if he can't even take responsibility, he doesn't deserve to be a dad.
Right then, the two kids burst into tears, and she immediately drops him to comfort them. But their crying only gets worse, their little faces flushing bright red from the allergy. Long Yue sobs to his mother, crying about how painful it is and asking how they can make it stop. Liu Ruyan whispers softly, gently wiping the tears from his eyes. With bloodshot eyes, Long Yu points at the MC, saying he's also allergic to mangoes. The kid actually demands they force him to drink mango juice so he suffers just like them. What a brat. Our MC's heart completely drops. He looks at his wife, hoping for some sanity. But the sheer coldness in her eyes makes his blood run cold. She just stands up and snaps her fingers. Two bodyguards immediately burst in. Before the MC can even react, they pin him to a chair. One of them squeezes his jaw, brutally forcing his mouth open. They pour a whole liter of mango juice down his throat, the sweet liquid choking his airway. He coughs violently, a searing, fiery pain ripping through his throat.
Severe hives break out across his skin, spreading at a terrifying speed.
His face begins to swell, and every single breath becomes an agonizing struggle. Clawing at his neck in sheer agony, his vision blurs as he looks at his wife. But Liu Ruyan just stands there, watching with cold indifference. She has no intention of stopping this.
The two kids have actually stopped crying and are clapping their hands in absolute delight.
They cheer that he deserved it right before darkness finally claims his consciousness. The last thing he sees is his wife's frozen gaze. After who knows how long, he finally wakes up. He opens his eyes in a hospital bed, his throat still burning like fire.
Allergic hives still cover his face, but then familiar voices drift in from the hallway.
It's Ji Boda pleading with Ruyan that he honestly didn't know the kids had allergies. He claims he only wanted to make them some fresh juice, and she softly tells him it's not his fault.
Her voice is unbelievably gentle, assuring him that he didn't do it on purpose.
Ji Boda sighs, saying if he had only explained sooner, there wouldn't have been this misunderstanding. He sounds so helpless and aggrieved, playing the perfect victim here. Then he turns to the kids, sighing that everything is his own fault. He asks how they could blame their father just to protect him. Wow, the manipulation is insane. The two kids' whiny, pathetic voices drift clearly into the hospital room. We know we messed up, Uncle Boda. Long Yue, sniffling, admits they just really don't like their dad.
Little Long Yu immediately chimes in, complaining that their dad is always bossing them around.
He won't let them eat junk food and forces them to go to bed on time.
They say they just want him gone. Inside the room, the MC clutches his bedsheets tightly.
His knuckles turn white as he realizes this is what he gets for sacrificing his entire life. He raised these ungrateful brats for years. He still remembers when Long Yu was 2 and burning with a fever. The house was empty that night, and the secretary told him his wife was too busy. Apparently, Liu Ruyan was in an important meeting and couldn't be bothered to come home. He was completely overwhelmed, left to handle the crisis all by himself. And Long Yue was always sickly, so our MC spent sleepless nights perfecting his diet. He constantly researched medical treatments while his wife was abroad chasing a merger. She was always away, but these kids he practically sacrificed everything to raise? They ended up being the ones stabbing him in the back. Honestly, this is heartbreaking. Tears keep streaming down his face as he clutches his chest, barely able to catch his breath. Right then, his phone rings. It is the airline calling to confirm his flight ticket.
They ask if Mr. Long wants to select a seat for his one-way flight to Yuncheng.
"A window seat, please," he mutters in a shaky voice while quickly wiping away his tears. His voice is so faint you can barely hear it, and the moment he hangs up, boom! The ward door swings open, and his wife, Liu Ruyan, steps inside with her usual cold, steady pace. Looking completely flawless and put together as always, she coldly asks who he was just talking to. When she indifferently questions him, he just quietly sets his phone aside to avoid her gaze. He just says it was a friend, and she does not push, only staring down at him coldly.
She casually mentions that the last incident was a mix-up, and it was actually Boda who gave the kids mango juice.
Her tone is so chill, it is like she is talking about the weather, adding that Boda did not know. Just like that, she brushes it off, but his heart, man, this is low-key heartbreaking. It feels like an invisible hand is squeezing his chest, making it painful to even breathe. When she thought he was the one who did it, she practically wanted to destroy him. But since it is her precious Ji Boda, she just excuses it as an innocent mistake. He opens his mouth, desperately wanting to scream and demand answers. He wants to let out all the years of unfairness and absolute heartbreak bottled up inside. But when he tries to speak, all that comes out is a barely whispery, "Okay." It is like all his physical strength is completely drained, leaving him too exhausted to even try arguing. All those sleepless nights, the endless pain, and the deep resentment he carried for so many years? It all turns into a bitter, self-deprecating smile, because the difference between love and indifference is really just that simple. She seems a bit taken aback by his quiet reaction before mentioning the kids are going to summer camp next week. She says that she and Boda will go with them, so he should just head home alone. Normally she expects him to beg or get upset, but this time, he just nods with total calm.
He simply tells her he knows, making her frown because his behavior is completely abnormal.
But her phone rings, and after checking the screen, she quickly leaves for some urgent company business. Only when the door clicks shut does he finally let go of his clenched fists. His palms are marked with 4 crescent-shaped bloody cuts from his fingernails, and over the next few days, his phone starts blowing up constantly with nonstop messages and spam from none other than Ji Boda. He is spamming tons of photos and videos showing off their happy little family time at the summer camp. In the videos, the kids, Long Yu and Long Ye, are proudly introducing Boda to their classmates. They literally tell everyone that Boda is their dad, making all the other kids gasp in pure envy. Everyone keeps gushing about how handsome their dad is and how perfect their parents look together. They say they are so lucky, but then someone asks who usually picks them up from school. One kid asks out of pure curiosity. The kids freeze on camera for a second before dismissing their actual dad as just their live-in butler. Hearing this, his hand trembles so hard that his water glass slips and shatters on the floor. He slowly kneels down to look at the broken pieces, and honestly, he just starts laughing. He realizes that to his own family, he was never a father, just a free butler. Honestly, let them cook, because this so-called butler is about to officially quit this toxic house. From now on, they can just let their highly beloved new dad take care of them instead. A week later, the driver finally drops Long Yu and Long Ye back off at the villa. The 2 kids run straight inside, heading for the kitchen with massive, excited smiles on their faces. Long Ye screams for his dad, immediately bragging about how Uncle Boda sprained his ankle at the sports meet. Long Yu quickly jumps in to add that their mom was absolutely devastated over Boda's injury. The wife literally rents out a whole hospital for another guy, skipping all her business meetings. She stays by his side, while our main character stands alone by the oven. He quietly listens to his kids brag about the other guy as he puts on oven mitts. "Dad, are you even listening to us?" Yue complains while aggressively stomping his feet. Mom is so nice to Uncle Boda. Anyway, the kitchen smells so good right now.
A timer dings, cutting off the annoying brat as a sweet aroma fills up the room. The two ungrateful kids light up instantly and run straight to the stove.
They demand the cake on their tiptoes as our main character pulls out the baking pan.
But the edges of the cake are pretty burnt, making him frown.
So he just dumps it straight into the trash, making Yui scream in absolute outrage.
It is burnt, he says calmly, but they yell that he is lying. The son kicks the trash can in a rage, screaming that he did it on purpose.
You are just petty about last time and do not want us to have any, you bad dad.
His face turns bright red as he yells that they do not want a father like him. He takes off the mitts, feeling a heavy, crushing pain squeeze his chest.
He looks at these two kids he literally raised with his own blood and sweat.
Honestly, they feel like total strangers now, so he quietly replies that he has no such kids either.
Go lie with Uncle Boda then, he says, turning around to walk up the stairs.
The kids go absolutely feral behind his back, screaming that they hate him.
They hate him forever.
He pauses. No looking back. He steps onto the third stair.
Suddenly, a hard push. Go die, they scream as the world spins. He tumbles down the stairs in a painful blur, agonizing pain instantly taking over his body.
Blood drips from his forehead. Vision blurs. Looking up, those two little demons are just standing there, laughing and saying he deserved it. Yu even claps his hands, mocking him for not giving them the cake. He struggles to push himself up, blood dripping from his chin onto the cold floor. Bro, he looks at these two little monsters and honestly cannot believe his eyes.
These are the same children he desperately fought to save when they were dying in the hospital.
It is hard to believe. Suddenly, the door flies open. Ruyan's cold, demanding voice echoes through the house, asking what is going on.
Boda follows right behind her. They freeze. The room goes silent, but the kids immediately switch up and fake cry to their mom. They run over, sobbing that their dad threw away the cake just to starve them. And they claim he kicked them out. Ruyan glares. Her eyes dart from the trashed cake to her husband, who is literally bleeding out.
She frowns deeply, demanding to know why Aotian is always targeting two innocent kids.
Her voice is freezing cold as she asks how he can say such horrible things. Are you even fit to be a father? She snaps, while he slowly stands up.
Blood stains his entire collar red, but he just stares back at his wife. He suddenly laughs, his hoarse voice asking when she ever thought he was fit.
She has always treated him as nothing but a free nanny for her children anyway.
Ruyan's eyes widen in shock, but he is already done, stating she clearly wants Boda instead. He wipes the blood off his face, saying the kids clearly prefer Boda as their dad.
So he is officially stepping down to let them be the perfect family of four.
The air instantly freezes as Liu Ruyan's expression turns incredibly ugly. She glares at him like she is finally seeing him for the very first time. Aotian is warned in a low, freezing voice to remember their marriage was just business. There was never any love between them, so what affection did he honestly expect from her? With a cold sneer, she bluntly says she can never give him that. Aotian actually laughs, but tears start streaming down his face because she is absolutely right. He was just a fool. Liu Ruyan did leave her pedestal once, but never for him. He should have known. Ji Boda steps in right on cue, grabbing Liu Ruyan's arm to calm her down. He whispers that the kids are scared, suggesting they take them upstairs first.
She throws Aotian one last deep look before turning to scoop up both kids at once.
Walking away with Ji Boda, she leaves Aotian staring at their retreating backs. Blood drips from his hand. Real regret finally sinks in. Aotian regrets marrying Liu Ruyan and having those ungrateful kids, and honestly, I do not blame him. But in this lifetime, he refuses to repeat his past mistakes. From now on, he lives only for himself. 3 days later, Long Yu's birthday party is held at the most luxurious hotel downtown. Crystal chandeliers cast a dazzling glow, while a massive champagne tower sparkles in the center of the hall. As expected, Liu Ruyan booked the entire floor just to throw an incredibly lavish party for the kid. He stands in a dark corner. They hold Ji Boda's hands, chirping and circling around him like two happy little birds. The kids cling to Ji Boda the entire time, deliberately ignoring their actual biological father.
Liu Ruyan holds a champagne glass nearby.
Her eyes constantly drift toward Ji Boda, filled with a gentle warmth Aotian has never once received.
Guests whisper about how devoted President Liu is, even after all these years.
She only has eyes for Boda. Even the two kids take after her, seeing only their beloved Uncle Boda as family.
Every single piece of gossip from the crowd cuts clearly through the air, straight to Aotian. A guest mentions that Aotian, Liu Ruyan, and Ji Boda were actually all college classmates. Back then, the romance between President Liu and Ji Boda was absolutely legendary on campus. One man in a sharp suit whispers that Boda almost proposed before graduation. Someone nearby sighs in agreement, saying a white moonlight will always be a white moonlight. Even without the actual title of a husband, Boda will always be her number one. Some people try too hard. Another guest casts a contemptuous glance toward Aotian, mocking that having kids changes absolutely nothing. They sneer he is destined to be alone forever, but little do these clowns know he is already checking out. Aotian listens silently, his heart feeling as if it is wrapped in a thick, freezing layer of ice. Heavy, but no pain. He turns around and heads toward the elevator, right before the door slides shut, though. A hand suddenly blocks the door, and Ji Boda smugly steps inside. With a smug smirk, Boda reminds him that their divorce cooling-off period ends in 3 days. He asks if he'll actually keep his promise. Aotian calmly presses the button for the first floor, saying he wants to leave more than anyone. Ji Boda smiles with satisfaction, telling him not to worry since he will take great care of this family. After all, Ruyan and the kids never liked him anyway, so they will easily forget him soon. As the elevator slowly descends, Aotian remains completely silent, offering absolutely no response. Suddenly, boom! A massive crash shakes the elevator violently. Then it plunges into total darkness. Ji Boda screams out in terror. He panics, fumbling for his phone and screaming for Ruyan to save him. The elevator completely failed, throwing our main character hard against the wall. Forehead bleeding, pain is off the charts. After what feels like forever, chaotic footsteps finally echo from outside. The rescuers call through the door, asking if anyone is alive in there.
Save us! Ji Boda pounds desperately on the metal door.
His leg is stuck. Sharp screeching metal prying begins. A bright beam cuts through. A rescuer peeks inside. His face goes completely pale. Both men are trapped. But with time running out, they can only pull one person out first. He asks who first, through our main character's blurry vision. He spots his wife, Liu Ruyan, standing with their 2 kids. Her eyes lock on Ji Boda. Zero hesitation, save him. Save Uncle Boda first! Long Yu and Long Yue cry. The rescuer frowns. He warns them that the other husband is injured way worse. I said save Boda! Her voice is ice cold. The rescuer sighs and pulls Ji Boda out. Our guy watches them carefully lift Ji Boda to safety. Leftover support breaks. The door lets out a horrific screech. Bam! The metal door slams down. Absolute agony. His final sight is Liu Ruyan walking away with Boda. The kids are cheering. Total darkness swallows him whole. He wakes up. Blinding white light hits his eyes.
Sharp disinfectant smell. The heart monitor beeps steadily.
He is awake. The doctor checks his pupils. 3 broken ribs. Lucky they got him here in time. Otherwise, he is dead. He stares blankly at the ceiling. That final elevator moment loops in his mind. Liu Ruyan chose Ji Boda instantly. Zero hesitation.
No backward glance. Slowly, he tries to move. Agony surges from his chest. But honestly, get this.
Not a single tear. Maybe pain numbed everything. Total numbness. 3 days later, she comes to discharge him. Sharp business suit. She looks at his heavily bandaged chest. Silent for a while. Then she speaks. I cannot let anything happen to his legs. So you have to bear with it, she says.
Like discussing the weather. You are just a house husband.
If your movement is limited, it is no big deal. Pure silence. But for the first time, he sees her clearly. elegant as ever, but her eyes never held him. In a hoarse voice, he asks Liu Ruyan if she would even care if he died that day.
Liu Ruyan just frowns even deeper, completely ignoring his question. Instead, she pulls a black card from her suit and tosses it on the nightstand. She tells him to stop asking meaningless questions. This card is just his compensation. As long as he behaves and raises their 2 kids, he will always keep his title as her husband. And this is where it gets crazy. In his past life, he held that exact husband title until he died.
But what was the point of holding on to that? He still ended up dying completely alone.
Forgotten by everyone. Burned alive in a fire. Talk about a brutal end. So in this new life, he does not care about being her puppet husband anymore. He is going to shine. He is going to find someone who actually loves him because he cannot hold back his feelings anymore. But just as he is about to blurt out that he is leaving her, her phone suddenly rings. She picks it up and the other guy, Ji Boda, speaks through the receiver.
Ji Boda cheerfully tells her that he and the kids are waiting at the restaurant with a surprise.
Her cold eyes instantly soften up and she quickly hangs up the phone. Checking her watch, her expression turns ice cold again as she announces she has to go out. She says the driver is waiting downstairs, then just walks out.
Our guy digs his nails deep into his palms, but in the end, he does not stop her.
Why even bother? She is going to find out the truth from her precious Ji Boda soon enough anyway. The divorce papers are already signed. He is done with her. And those 2 ungrateful kids who treated him like a complete stranger, he is leaving them behind too. He presses the call button and asks Nanny Wang to send his luggage straight to the airport. 1 hour later, he deletes every single way to contact his soon-to-be ex-wife. Leaving her black card in the drawer, he boards his flight. As the plane takes off,
The clouds outside the window are painted in a gorgeous golden red sunset.
looking out at the beautiful, shining sky, he closes his eyes and finally smiles.
In this second chance at life, he is never going to lower himself for anyone ever again.
All those years of begging for scraps of affection, they are flying away with this plane. Disappearing forever. Ahead of him lies a brand new start. A brand new future that belongs entirely to him as he moves to a quiet, unfamiliar city called Yoon City.
The unfamiliar streets actually give him a strange sense of peace. After researching for 2 weeks,
He decides to open a cozy little bookstore named Aotian on a quiet street in the Old Town. The shop is small but gets amazing sunlight, so he spends 3 months fixing the place up. He turns the dusty, run-down old storefront into an incredibly warm and cozy reading space.
Now, Yoon City gets a ton of rain, and one day he is just staring out the window. Staring blankly at the drizzling rain outside, the door chime suddenly rings, breaking the silence.
He turns around automatically to give his usual polite welcome greeting.
But he completely freezes in his tracks when he sees the woman standing at the entrance.
She holds a long black umbrella, rain dripping from it.
Cradled in her arms is a little girl around 5 or 6 years old. The girl has pigtails and shrinks shyly into her coat. Folding her umbrella, she asks for children picture books. Her voice is incredibly gentle, and that is when he finally sees her face clearly. She is absolutely gorgeous with sharp features and painting-like eyes. Her long, dark hair drapes over her shoulders, and she has this beautiful, warm smile. He gasps. It is his old university senior, Shiya, and she looks just as shocked to see him. She stares at him for a second before finally recognizing him. Long Aotian. Memories come flooding back right away. This is Shiya from medical school. She was the ultimate campus star, 2 years his senior, and a famously brilliant talent back then.
Top-tier grades, and she could play the piano like an absolute pro.
Basically, every guy's dream girl. Aotian smiles, calling it a crazy coincidence.
She points to the little girl in her arms, introducing her niece, Cheng Cheng. Shiya gently pats the kid's back, telling her to greet her big brother. The little girl looks up, revealing a face as cute as a doll. She shyly mumbles a sweet hello, her voice soft as literal cotton candy. Aotian's heart completely melts. He kneels down to look her in the eye. He asks what kind of book she likes, offering to find her some. Cheng Cheng blinks her huge eyes and suddenly reaches out to pat Aotian's cheek. "You are so handsome," she whispers. "You look just like my dad." The air in the room instantly freezes over.
Shiya's expression shifts. She kneels down, pulling the little girl into a tight hug.
She apologizes, explaining that her father passed away from an illness years ago.
Looking at this fatherless kid, Aotian suddenly thinks back to Long Yu and Long Yue. Those two still have Ji Boda, but this poor kid has nobody.
It is okay, he says softly, gently ruffling Cheng Cheng's hair with a warm smile.
He asks if she likes fairy tales, promising to show her some cool picture books.
She nods eagerly, her eyes lighting up with pure excitement. For the next half hour, Ocean patiently shows her all the different books. The little girl slowly warms up, even grabbing his hand with a huge smile. She begs him to tell her a story, while Shiya watches from the side. Her gaze is incredibly soft. By the time he starts reading The Little Prince, Cheng Cheng is completely snuggled up in his lap. Shiya whispers that his storytelling is special.
At the counter, Shiya mentions that Cheng Cheng is usually super shy around strangers.
Yet she took an instant liking to him. Aotian just smiles warmly. He hands over the wrapped books, admitting he felt a strange connection with Cheng Cheng too.
He casually remarks that he wishes she was his daughter, immediately regretting saying it.
But Shiya just nods thoughtfully, choosing not to press him on it.
Just as they are leaving, the kid tugs his shirt and asks to visit again.
She looks up hopefully as Aotian kneels back down.
He gently pinches her tiny nose, promising she is welcome anytime she wants.
Shiya holds her umbrella, carrying Cheng Cheng out into the rain as the kid leans back. She keeps waving back at the bookstore until they finally disappear around the corner.
Watching them fade into the rain, Aotian feels a wave of long-lost warmth.
And just like that, the duo becomes regular faces at his shop. Almost every single weekend, they drop by to spend a few quiet hours. Cheng Cheng always claims her favorite little spot on the corner couch. She reads her books while Shiya grabs a heavy medical textbook to study. She reads quietly right next to her, and sometimes Ocean brews them herbal tea. Shiya always thanks him politely, while Cheng Cheng sweet talks him with a big "Thank you, Uncle," before diving right back into her book. Then, on one sunny Saturday afternoon, Shiya invites him along to the amusement park with a warm, hopeful smile. So basically, Shiya gives him a super sincere invite, saying little Cheng Cheng won't stop nagging to go. He actually wants to reject the offer, but one look at Cheng Cheng's hopeful eyes is all it takes. His heart immediately melts, and they end up going. Honestly, the amusement park is absolutely packed and buzzing. Cheng Cheng is living her best life, holding Shiya with her left hand and our main character with her right.
She is literally running around with pure excitement as they all hop on the carousel together.
They hit up the bumper cars and even wait in a long line for the giant Ferris wheel. But right when they reach the very top of the wheel, Cheng Cheng points to the clouds in the distance.
She says her dad lives up there, which instantly makes our guy's heart drop.
Honestly, this is low-key heartbreaking. Shiya gently pulls Cheng Cheng close, whispering that her dad is watching over her from heaven. She tells her that he wants her to be happy every single day, and the little girl nods.
But then she suddenly asks if Big Brother can be her new dad. Bro, what? The air literally freezes in an instant, and our guy has absolutely no idea how to respond.
Shiya quickly tries to play it off, telling Cheng Cheng not to talk nonsense, but the kid insists she isn't.
Her little face turns bright red as she stubbornly shouts that she really likes Big Brother.
She asks if he likes her too, while our MC just stares at her stubborn little face. It instantly reminds him of Rong Yu, who was exactly the same way. Once Rong Yu set his mind on something, he'd stubbornly stick to it till the end. So of course our MC tells her he likes her.
He speaks softly, explaining that her father is one of a kind.
No one can ever replace him, and Cheng Cheng nods, even if she doesn't fully get it. She leans back into Shiya's arms as they head back home. With Cheng Cheng asleep in the back, Shiya drives, occasionally glancing at him through the rearview mirror. She softly thanks him for spending the day with her daughter. She mentions she hasn't seen the kid this happy in ages, but he just smiles and says he had a great time too. Outside, the setting sun paints the clouds in a brilliant, fiery gold and red. He reaches up to block the light, causing his sleeve to slip and reveal a deep scar on his wrist. Shiya's eyes linger on that scar for just a second. She quickly looks away, but for the rest of the drive, her brows remain slightly knit in worry. Cut to a week later, she visits his bookstore alone. She hands him a thermos, explaining that it is some soothing tea she made herself. She hands it over, hoping it might help with his sleep. He freezes, completely stunned, and asks how she even knew he was having trouble sleeping. Even though he finally left that awful place, the ghosts of his past still haunt him. He can't seem to forget those memories, waking up in a cold sweat during countless dark nights. He always wakes up from terrible nightmares. Shiya gently adjusts her glasses. Her warm, perceptive eyes look at him as she reminds him that she is a doctor. She tells him he can always ask her for help, hoping they are officially good friends by now. He instinctively pulls down his sleeve to cover up his scarred wrist. Shiya quickly apologizes for prying, saying she only asked as a doctor. But also as a friend, she sincerely wants him to take good care of himself. Our guy goes silent for a moment before finally letting out a soft laugh. His eyes crinkle as he thanks her for the tea. He promises that if he ever needs anything, he'll definitely reach out. And just like that, Shiya starts visiting his shop way more often. Sometimes she brings little Cheng Cheng along, and other times she comes completely alone. But every single time she drops by, she brings some sweet little gift, like a fresh bouquet of wildflowers. Whether it was handmade cookies or a new soothing tea, our boy was slowly getting used to her warm company. Sometimes just watching Shiya and little Chung Chung reading together in the bookstore felt so peaceful. He would honestly catch himself thinking, is this the exact life he had always been searching for? Simple, quiet, and completely filled with genuine warmth. Then, on one particularly rainy night, he was just organizing the bookshelves. The doorbell suddenly rang, and there was Shiya standing outside completely soaked to the bone. She was clutching a feverish Cheng Cheng, whispering a quick apology for showing up so incredibly late. Her voice was visibly shaking as she explained that Cheng Cheng kept crying out, begging to see him. Apparently, only his bedtime stories could soothe the kid, so our main character quickly rushed them both inside. He took the burning hot little boy into his arms, his heart low-key breaking at how flushed the poor kid looked. Patting the boy's back, he softly reassured him, "Uncle is right here, so do not be scared." He ended up staying by the kid's bedside all night, softly reading one story after another. Shiya just sat nearby, watching the two of them with the absolute softest look in her eyes. By the time the little guy finally drifted off, the heavy rain outside had finally stopped too. Gentle moonlight spilled right through the gap in the curtains, casting a soft silver trail across the bedroom floor. Shiya quietly whispered her thanks, but he just shook his head to say it was nothing. But as he tried to stand up, his legs were completely numb from sitting there for so long. He stumbled, almost losing his balance, but Shiya reacted instantly and caught him before he hit the ground. Once he was steady, they both suddenly realized they were standing way, way too close to each other. Blush instantly rushed to both of their faces, and they quickly turned away, completely speechless. Meanwhile, it literally took a whole month of him being gone for his ex, Liu Ruyan, to notice anything. She honestly thought he was just playing hard to get, trying to pull some petty, attention-seeking stunt. But once she realized she couldn't reach him no matter what, she finally started taking it a bit seriously. Still, every single one of his old friends she called said they had not seen him at all. Getting super annoyed, she slammed the phone down and marched straight over to her study. She booted up her laptop to pull up his bank details, expecting to see him draining her money. Instead, the black card she gave him was completely untouched, meaning he had only left with his own savings. He had not spent a single cent of her family's wealth. Playing tough, are we? She sneered, shutting her laptop. She figured this was just a childish ploy to make her feel guilty and go running back to him. There was no way it would work. But the next morning, as everyone gathered for breakfast, things felt different. Long Yu and Long Yi were loudly chattering away about everything that was going on at their school. Meanwhile, Ji Boda was playing the perfect stepdad, serving the kids food and smiling warmly at Liu Ruyan. The whole setup looked picture perfect on the surface, but honestly, something just felt incredibly off. Liu Ruyan felt an empty void she could not explain. Suddenly, Long Yu asked about the upcoming school sports day. The little boy blinked his big eyes, eagerly asking if she and Uncle Boda could go together. Of course, Liu Ruyan replied automatically, but then she suddenly paused, a thought crossing her mind. She asked who usually went with them in the past, wondering if it had always been their dad. Both kids instantly made disgusted faces, scoffing that it was him, but they never actually wanted him there. Long Yu pouted, her little face completely cold and indifferent.
She complained that he only ever stayed home, cooking and cleaning, barely even stepping foot outside the house.
On top of that, he never dressed up, making them feel too embarrassed to ever have him around.
Exactly. Long Yue chimed in, bragging that Uncle Boda always dressed so sharp and handsome for school events. They boasted that all their classmates envied them, while Ji Boda just gave a bashful, humble smile. He poured a fresh cup of coffee for Liu Ruyan, gently calling out her name.
He urged her to try it, claiming he had the maids brew it exactly how she liked it.
Ruyan takes a sip, her brow immediately furrowing from the intense sweetness. Her ex-husband used to brew every single cup, never making a mistake like this.
Sugar-free, just a splash of milk. Ji Boda anxiously asks if the coffee is not to her taste. She puts the cup down, silent. Adjusting her cuffs, she says she is heading to the office.
Over the next few days, everything in the household looks normal.
Yet subtle changes are happening because Ji Boda has never done chores before.
After trying a few times, he gives up and drops the chores. Servants take over, but something is completely off. Only Ruyan and her family notice it. Something is quietly changed, and the cozy warmth of home is completely gone. No more freshly ironed clothes or that comforting cup of warm bedtime milk. Even the customized meals made to their exact tastes are completely gone now. Sure, life goes on without major issues, but here is the thing.
The familiar warmth of home has vanished, until one fateful night.
Ruyan returns home late at night after attending a grueling business banquet. Stumbling onto the sofa, she quickly dismisses her assistant, saying she is fine alone. Once the front door clicks shut, the house falls into dead silence. Exhausted, Ruyan rubs her temples, subconsciously calling out to ask where he is. Only then does she realize the stark difference. There are absolutely no warm entryway lights left on to welcome her back. And there is no hot hangover soup waiting on the coffee table. Calling the maid, she demands to know why nothing was prepared for her return. Ringing up the maid quarters, her voice carries a sharp, frustrated edge.
Wang Ma quickly rushes to the living room, apologizing in a complete panic.
She explains that everything for her late arrivals was always handled by her ex. Because of that, the servants forgot, especially when it came to the soup. Her ex-husband used to personally buy the ingredients and simmer it for hours. He never let us help, preferring to do it himself. Hearing this explanation, Ruyan feels a sudden, heavy blow strike deep in her chest. An intense wave of complicated regret and confusion instantly washes over her. She always knew her ex cared, but she never realized the sheer depth of it. A crushing wave of regret hits her hard. Honestly, she deserves it. Feeling completely guilty, Ruyan slowly walks into the empty, cold kitchen. The freezing marble countertops reflect her pale, somber face in the dark. Wang Ma stands quietly by her side, not daring to make a sound. So for 6 long years, he silently took care of everything. She asks in a raspy, shaking voice if he really never complained. Wang Ma nods carefully, repeating that her ex refused to let anyone help. He always said her stomach was weak, and takeout soup was too harsh. He had to oversee the cooking himself while her fingers tapped the counter. For 6 entire years, whenever she returned late from work, there was always a warm, freshly made bowl of soup waiting for her. She never knew it was his midnight promise. The housekeeper tentatively asks if she should try cooking it. No need, Liu Ruyan turns toward the stairs, telling everyone to go get some rest. Passing the master bedroom, she hears something inside. It is just Ji Boda sleeping peacefully, softly rolling over in his sleep. Hearing the silk sheets rustle softly, Liu Ruyan just stands there at the door. For some reason, she suddenly thinks of her husband and when they first got married. Back then, she hated the sight of him. Simple as that. She would stay out late just to avoid him entirely. But no matter when she returned, he was always waiting. Quietly waiting, even though he was a light sleeper. Any tiny noise would wake him. Yet, she would find him fast asleep on the sofa with the TV still running. The volume was always muted, but she never cared. She wouldn't even spare him a second glance. Instead, she would just walk past, but he kept doing this for years. It took years before she finally started pausing to wrap a blanket over him. Talk about low-key heartbreaking. That progress shattered the second Ji Boda came back. She was always running off to handle Boda's drama, coming home less and less. Then Boda had the nerve to ask to meet their 2 kids. She actually took them over, and that is where the real mess started. The kids started spending almost all of their free time playing family with Boda. Her husband tried to speak up, but they just ignored his protests. He was absolutely furious, demanding to know why his wife and children were always with another man. He could barely choke out the words, his heart breaking as the truth stared him in the face. With his eyes completely bloodshot, he asked her how she could do this. Who on earth do you actually see as your husband and father? But back then, she only cared about Boda and thought he was being crazy. She coldly told him to stop whining, saying he only got the spot because he interfered. She straight up said Boda was always meant to be the real master of this house. Bro, that is actually vile! The sheer betrayal in his eyes was unreal! She felt a tiny pang of guilt, but Boda was her true love, so she brushed it off. She just left him standing there alone and walked away without looking back. After that day, the husband never brought it up again, acting like they never even fought. She was actually pleased with this, thinking he had finally learned his place. Lost in thought, she finds herself opening the door to the kids' bedroom. Long Yu and Long Ye are fast asleep, their little heads huddled close together. But on the nightstand, there was a framed photo of them smiling with Ji Boda. They look so happy, and her husband's photo is completely gone. Staring at the empty spot on the wall where his picture used to be, she suddenly feels this weird, hollow ache in her chest. Instead of heading to the master bedroom, she quietly slips into the guest room alone. She grabs a bottle of whiskey from the cabinet and takes a massive swig straight from the bottle. The sharp alcohol burns her throat, but it does absolutely nothing to calm her racing thoughts. From that day on, she starts using business trips as an excuse to avoid coming home. With her constantly gone, the house feels colder than ever. Meanwhile, Boda is living his best life, just hitting the gym and pampering himself daily. With nobody driving Long Yu and Long Yu to school, Ji Boda's sweet act was officially over. He used to secretly help them skip class just to play outside. Naturally, the kids followed his lead, skipping school entirely to loaf around outside all day. Ji Boda knew about it, but he honestly did not care at all. The family butler called to report that the school teacher was calling the house constantly. They wanted the parents to step in since the spoiled kids refused to listen to the servants. The butler begged him to come home and talk some sense into them, just to get them to class, but Ji Boda lazily dismissed it. He promised to deal with it later while lounging comfortably on the sofa. Admiring his fresh new perm, he warned the butler not to tell Ruyan about this. He claimed she was already way too busy with work to worry about the kids. Once he hung up, his friend mocked him for actually trying to play daddy. He laughed, asking if he really planned to look after those 2 annoying baggage kids. Having them around is a pain, but Ji Boda scoffed, asking who said he would care. Ji Boda let out a slow, lazy yawn, a dark, sinister look flashing in his eyes. He admitted he wanted to ruin them so they could never claim their mother's massive fortune. With that wicked plan in mind, he dialed the kid's school teacher. He lied, telling the teacher they had urgent family matters to handle. He told her not to worry if they missed school, reminding her of their wealthy status. He casually added that the children's mother was currently drowning in work. If any issues came up, the teacher was told to contact him instead of Ruyan. Hanging up the phone, he smirked with relief and immediately forgot the entire conversation. That evening, after finishing his workout, he made a rare appearance back home. The living room was a disaster zone, but the kids cheered when they saw him. They happily rushed over, shouting that Uncle Ji Boda was finally back. They missed him, but they were in for a rude awakening. Ji Boda, who used to play the sweet uncle, looked incredibly cold and distant. He brushed them off with an irritated sigh, telling them he was busy. Telling them to play alone, Long Yu foolishly assumed everything was still the same. Expecting to be spoiled as usual, the boy angrily smashed his toy onto the floor. He demanded that Ji Boda play with them, but the villain's expression suddenly turned terrifying. Those eyes that used to look so gentle now held absolutely zero warmth. He glared, asking the kid who he thought he was talking to. He hissed that he would soon marry their mother and run this entire house. Your mother never even cared about your useless biological father.
And pretty soon, she's going to end up completely despising you two as well.
The terrified siblings clung to each other, barely even daring to take a breath. Where was that arrogant energy they had when they bullied our MC? He sneered. You will obey my every single command in this house from now on. If you ever yell at me again, I will make you deeply regret it. With that, he gave the trembling kids one final threatening look. He coldly went upstairs. From that moment on, everything shifted. Following Ji Boda's orders, the household servants slowly changed their attitude.
They stopped treating the children with respect, and nobody drove them to school.
Eventually, they would not even bother to prepare 3 meals a day for them. They can only eat whatever scraps are left over after Ji Boda finishes his meals. Outside, the blazing sun beats down on the massive Liu family villa. The AC hums. Rong Yu and Long Yue are curled up on the playroom carpet building Legos, constantly stealing terrified glances at the door. Ji Boda is adjusting his tie. Long Yue timidly calls out, "Uncle Boda, can we get ice cream? You promised." Last week, their mom bought Uncle Boda a brand new Maybach. Happy, he casually kicked them. Promised them treats, but now Ji Boda doesn't even look back.
Can't you see I'm busy? He snaps, but Rong Yu finds some courage.
You promised us. Ji Boda whips around. Crushing his tie, he snarls. All you ever think about is stuffing your faces. Look how skinny you both are. The poor kids instantly curl up in absolute terror under his hateful glare. Since their real dad left, they haven't felt a single shred of warmth from Ji Boda. His once gentle smile is completely gone, replaced by hateful scowls. Get back to your rooms, he snaps, grabbing a tissue to wipe his hands. He says they disgust him. Long Yue's tears start welling up, but he doesn't dare cry. Last time, this monster pinched his thigh and threatened to throw away his toys. Despicable behavior. But then, Liu Ruyan unexpectedly comes home. Ji Boda greets her in a bathrobe, smelling like cheap cologne. His flawless skin practically glows. He purrs. Are you finally home? So fake. She sighs, handing over her briefcase. That merger took up all her time lately. But she promises to be home more, looking around the empty rooms. Where are the kids? Asleep, he lies. Don't worry, honey, I have been taking perfect care of them. Hugging her waist, he casually whispers, Ruyan. He mentions there is a charity gala tomorrow, and he needs a matching luxury watch. She nods absent-mindedly. Just pick one yourself. Just use her black card. The next morning at the breakfast table, she finally sits down to eat breakfast with her 2 children. But something is off. They are dead silent. Looking closely, both kids have gotten dangerously thin. Their little faces look hollow. She asks if they are feeling sick. Rong Yu instantly panics. He shakes his head, stammering, "No, nothing."
His tiny hands are shaking. The spoon clinks loudly against his bowl.
Ji Boda walks in carrying a fruit platter. He chuckles smoothly. Don't worry, the kids are doing fantastic. He pats Rong Yu's head with a sickeningly sweet smile. Right, kiddo? Rong Yu freezes. He nods weakly. Suddenly, her phone rings. Work emergency. She stands up to leave. As soon as President Liu says goodbye and shuts the door, Ji Boda's fake smile instantly vanishes. He snatches the milk glass right out of little Long Yu's hands. Looking extremely annoyed, he snaps at the kid for drinking so slowly and asking if he wants to be late. He demands he finish eating quickly, telling him and his brother they better behave at school before their mom gets back. Warning them not to cause any trouble, he says they will regret it. It worked. Long Yu shivers in fear. He hurriedly stuffs bread into his mouth, but instantly starts choking on it. As the boy's face turns bright red, Ji Boda just scoffs in total disgust. Without even giving him a second glance, he just snaps at him for being completely useless. He mutters that the kid is just like his pathetic father. Meanwhile, back at the office, President Liu is busy handling some company work when her phone suddenly starts vibrating. The butler is on the line. The little master has a fever. He is burning at 39 degrees Celsius, and they are terrified. President Liu's brows instantly furrow with worry. She asks if they called a doctor. The butler says Mr. G said no hurry.
Apparently, he just left for a party instead. Hearing this, President Liu's face instantly goes pale. Shocked and furious, she promises she is coming home immediately. She orders the family doctor to check on him first, then rushes back home through a heavy downpour.
When she arrives, she finds little Long Yu burning up, his tiny body trembling uncontrollably.
The doctor is already setting up an IV drip, looking extremely concerned. She asks how it got this bad, and the doctor explains the kid's high fever has been going on for 4 hours. He lowers his voice, warning her it could have easily turned into pneumonia. The doctor points out the boy's weak constitution, meaning they really should have gotten him medical help much sooner. President Liu's chest tightens up as she remembers how her ex-husband used to handle things.
Back then, he could instantly tell when the kids were sick, even without using a thermometer. He always knew the exact temperature. But where is Ji Boda right now? She demands to know why he is not there, and the butler can only hesitate, completely unsure how to respond.
Finally, the butler admits that Mr. Ji dismissed it as just a minor common cold.
And he claimed he absolutely had to attend a business partner's birthday party instead.
Furious, President Liu pulls out her phone and immediately dials Ji Boda's number. It rings for what feels like forever before he finally picks up, loud party music blasting in the background. He slurs her name with this super relaxed, tipsy voice. Honestly, this guy is a walking red flag.
She snaps at him, demanding to know where he is while their son is burning up with a 40-degree fever.
This is literally the first time she has ever used such a harsh tone with him.
Ji Boda instantly plays the victim, sounding all panicked and apologetic as he begs for forgiveness. He claims he honestly thought it was just a regular cold and promises he is rushing back right now.
An hour later, this client finally rushes back. He's still wearing his fancy party suit, looking perfectly put together.
Walking up with fake tears in his eyes, he acts completely heartbroken and full of regret. He keeps crying that he had no idea the kid was this sick, but she just stares at his perfect makeup. Smelling the strong alcohol on his breath, a massive wave of pure irritation immediately hits her chest. But looking at that face she used to adore, she softens up yet again.
She lets it go, but tells him to be more careful next time.
Late that night, the kid's fever finally drops. Then her phone rings.
Her assistant is calling with an absolute emergency, saying something went completely wrong at the company.
They need her there right now. She looks down at her sleeping son, completely torn. Ruyan hesitates for a second, telling Boda to watch over their sick son. She promises to return quickly, while Boda nods like a perfect, caring partner. But just as she rushes out to the parking lot, she realizes something is off. Her car keys are missing. She left them in the room and heads right back inside.
And then, boom, she stops cold at the door. Boda's voice is echoing from inside.
"You little brat," he growls. "Stop pretending to be sick." "Because of you, I had to leave the party early," little Yu sobbed in fear. He whimpers out, "I'm sorry, Uncle Boda. I didn't mean to do it." Boda's voice turns bone-chillingly cold, warning the kid not to play victim to his mom. This guy is a literal monster, threatening to beat him if he speaks up. The poor kid begs, promising to stay quiet if Boda just stops hurting him. Boda laughs. "You better. You're pathetic, just like your real father." Outside, Ruyan's entire world shatters. The gentle man she thought she loved? A total illusion. She kicks the door open. Boda spins around in absolute terror, looking straight into her pure, unbridled rage.
He stammers her name, his face turning completely pale in an instant.
He tries to make excuses, but she doesn't want to hear a single word. She lands a massive, satisfying slap that sends him flying right into the wall. His perfect hair is a total mess now. Honestly, she was completely blind. She yells at him for playing the loving stepdad while abusing her kid. Threatening her child today means tomorrow is worse. Get out! Her voice is dead cold as she tells him to pack up his things. "Get out of my house today," she snaps, "and never show your face again." Boda scrambles up from the floor, desperately begging her to listen.
He claims he was just stressed and swears he actually loves the kids.
He promises to do better, but Ruyan just scoffs at his pathetic lies. Is abuse his idea of love? She turns back to her terrified son. The poor boy is curled into a tight ball, sobbing uncontrollably on the bed. Ruyan's heart completely breaks. How could she have been so incredibly blind to this? Her kids were living in total terror. Yu reaches out a trembling hand, his eyes filled with absolute fear. He whispers that he will be good and begs her not to abandon him. She drops to her knees, tightly squeezing her son's feverish, trembling hand. She apologizes to him, then turns a deadly glare right back to Boda. The sheer disgust in her eyes makes the trash villain step back in fear. Boda tries to speak. She is completely done with his excuses. She hits the call button, demanding security to throw this man out immediately. Finally, his desperate screams fade away down the long hospital hallway.
She sinks onto the bed, exhausted, as Yu gently tugs her sleeve.
Sobbing softly, the little boy whispers that he really misses his real dad. He asks if they can bring him back, making her throat tighten instantly. She remembers her ex-husband walking away and how cruelly she had treated him. A sharp pain hits her chest. Just then, her other child, Yu, wakes up. Rubbing their eyes, the child walks over, saying they really miss Daddy too. When will Daddy come back? Liu Ruyan holds her two crying kids close. Honestly, she has no idea how to comfort them, her heart drowning in pure bitterness. 2 days later, Rongyu is finally discharged from the hospital, back at the family mansion. The living room is packed with Ji Boda's stuff, but he is right there in his shiny shoes.
He grabs Liu Ruyan's sleeve like a crazy person, his manicured nails almost digging in.
Begging her like a coward, "Ruyan, you cannot do this to me!" His voice cracks with fake tears, though his eyes look incredibly sketchy. We have known each other for 20 years. Are you really doing this over a tiny mistake?
A tiny mistake? Liu Ruyan slaps his hand away, her eyes colder than ice.
Abusing my children is a tiny mistake? She pulls out her phone instantly. She plays a video. Look! On screen, Ji Boda is viciously squeezing little Rongyue's head as she silently weeps in pain. And then there is this, she says, swiping to another clip. It shows Ji Boda literally slipping sleeping pills into the kids' milk. Oh, so they would pass out early and he could sneak out to a party. How could you drug them? Ji Boda's face goes completely pale. You spied on me? Did you stop trusting me? I was protecting my own home. Dangerous silence, but it gets worse. A maid suddenly rushes out, her voice trembling as she speaks up. I have to tell the truth, she says, pointing directly at Ji Boda. She looks at him with pure disgust, ever since his very first visit. He has been trying to poison the relationship between Mr. Long and the kids. Shut up, Ji Boda screams, but the maid keeps going. This guy always bought cheap toys and taught them to hate their dad. I literally heard him tell the young master that his dad did not love him. And that was why his dad banned candy. Truly a master manipulator. He told the kids they had to drive their father away so they could be a real family. The next day, chaos. Her son actually pushed Mr. Long down the stairs. Liu Ruyan freezes. She immediately turns to the butler and demands the security footage from that day. As the clip plays on the massive screen, the entire room goes dead silent. The footage shows the kids smiling wickedly, shoving Long Aotian down the stairs. And right behind them, Jiba saw the whole thing go down. He could not even hide his smug, victorious grin. Suddenly, Rongyu runs down. She throws herself into her mother's arms, crying out that they were wrong. We want Daddy back! Rongyu follows closely behind his sister. His face is soaked in tears. Uncle Boda said Daddy abandoned us. Is that true? Ji Boda lets out a cold sneer. Of course it is true. He does not want you anymore. He is probably out holding some other woman right now. Oh, and Liu Ruyan, there is something else you do not know. That paper you signed was not a housing contract. It was a divorce agreement. You two are completely done, and you are the one who forced him away. A loud, stinging slap cuts off his toxic lies right in his tracks. Liu Ruyan's hand hangs in the air, her eyes burning with pure, unbridled rage. Throw all of his trash out, she barks to the butler. Liu Ruyan snaps, refusing to let Ji Boda take a single thing she bought him as he clutches his face. He stares in absolute shock, screaming if she is crazy for that old man, but she barks at him to shut up. Liu Ruyan stands tall, her expression colder than ice.
Say one more word, and I will personally run you out of the city.
The servants move in instantly, dragging Ji Boda's suitcases out one by one.
They hurl everything out the door, scattering his limited edition figures and luxury designer clothes.
Even his high-end watches end up scattered across the floor like worthless garbage. Ji Boda loses his mind, screaming hysterically from the doorway that she will regret this. You think Aotian wants you back? He was sick of you years ago.
The heavy door slams shut right in his face, cutting off his pathetic screaming.
The living room falls dead silent as Liu Ruyan slowly kneels on the floor. She pulls her two kids close, feeling their little bodies tremble with fear. Tears soak into her suit as they ask if their father really abandoned them.
Long Yue asks through his sobs, making Liu Ruyan's throat tighten up. She remembers the absolute coldness of his back when he left, and those signed divorce papers.
A sharp pain pierces her chest as she whispers that he would never do that. Her brows furrow deep, looking more like she is trying to convince herself.
Their father loved them too much to ever truly leave them behind. He was probably just clearing his head, but then the kids ask why he is still gone.
Long Yu looks up with teary eyes, his tiny face clouded with worry. Is it because we pushed him down the stairs? Bro, this plot twist is actually insane. Her hand freezes midair as she touches the kid's cold body, her heart sinking. She opens her mouth to offer comfort, but her throat tightens, leaving her speechless. Honestly, how could it not be? Even she cannot forgive what they did. Since she turned a blind eye back then, she has no right to expect forgiveness. Admitting it is all her fault, Liu Ruyan finally pulls her kids into a tight embrace. Her voice cracks as she tells them she failed to protect them.
She failed to cherish their father, and hearing this makes Long Yue sob even harder. Clinging to her clothes, the child begs to go find their father.
He promises to never make him angry again and always be a good boy.
Closing her eyes, Liu Ruyan is immediately haunted by memories of Long Aotian.
She remembers his blood-soaked back when he was crushed in the elevator.
And those empty, lifeless eyes in the hospital?
Honestly, this part is low-key heartbreaking. Only after losing him did she realize that during those 6 years they spent together, he had quietly woven his gentleness into every single moment of her life. Deciding to find him, Liu Ruyan snaps her eyes open with absolute resolve. A flash of determination fills her eyes as she decides they are leaving right now. 3 hours later, her private jet lands smoothly at the Yun City airport.
She stands outside the glass doors of Aotian Bookstore, holding her kids close.
Through the glass, she sees Long Aotian kneeling to read to a little girl.
Wearing a simple linen shirt, the sunlight hits his hair in the most peaceful way. He looks incredibly relaxed and happy, a side she had never once seen before.
The little girl suddenly points toward the glass doors and calls out his name.
Hearing that someone is looking for him, Long Aotian looks up. The second he locks eyes with Liu Ruyan, his smile completely freezes as he stands up, shielding the girl with a freezing stare. Why are you here? The kids hide behind Ruyan.
They peek out timidly, tears welling up instantly.
Crying for their dad, Ruyan takes a deep breath and steps forward. Her voice is incredibly humble.
Please come back, she begs. The kids really need you.
I need you too. Aotian just laughs. Pure mockery. Did she forget how she threw him away? She never saw this coming. Pointing at his bookstore, he tells her he's finally happy. Shiya walks out, naturally handing a hot tea to Aotian.
Aotian is doing great. She asks them to leave. Ruyan sees the genuine care in Shiya's eyes.
Then she notices Aotian subconsciously leaning closer to her. Honestly, you can't even feel bad for her. Her chest tightens with pure regret. He found a brand new home. Long Yue breaks free from Ruyan, crying as she runs to hug her dad. We are so sorry, she cries. You can even punish us. Just come back. Aotian completely freezes as his daughter clings to him, crying her eyes out.
His hands clench tightly into fists as he looks down at her.
Her teary face brings back dark hospital memories. He had stayed up all night holding her through a burning fever. Just go back. Some things are broken forever, and they are completely done. Looking at the total stranger in his eyes, Ruyan finally breaks down.
She thought she ruled the world, but this is a brutal reality check.
The regret is hitting her like a truck, guys. She threw away the only man who genuinely cared. Completely broken, she takes her 2 kids and finally leaves. As the rain pours down, Yu suddenly points down, calling her.
Look, Mom!
Aotian is holding an umbrella, carefully helping Shiya and her daughter into a car. He's tilting almost the entire umbrella over them to keep them dry. His shoulder gets soaked. She finally gets it.
Once you betray someone's love, there is absolutely no going back.
Only a mountain of cold regrets remains. While the rain keeps falling outside, warm laughter fills Aotian's cozy bookstore. Aotian smiles as Shiya gently wipes the raindrops off little Cheng-Cheng's face.
With them, he's safe from any storm.
He reaches for a small clay house on the table, tracing the rough edges of the house they built together. Warm sunlight breaks through the clouds. A beautiful, fresh beginning to a story he finally gets to write himself.